Building habits that last tends to be really difficult because people use a really rigid structure when building those habits. Today, I'm going to walk you through step by step on how I build my habits with a really easy and simple method. Step 1 for building a habit that you want to last is planning. When are you going to do it? Where are you going to do it? And what are you doing? So the first part, what are you doing? Well, we have an episode completely going in depth on what habit is right for you and how to decide amongst all the different topics that are out there. So you can check out that last episode. Second part, where are you going to do this habit? And this is a really big part because it's really interesting. Your brain starts to associate places with things. So for example, you associate your bed with sleeping. So once you get in bed, it's easy for you to fall asleep. Your brain also does this with food and music. When you start listening to Mozart, when you study, whenever you listen to Mozart again, you'll be more geared to study. Same thing with if you eat a certain food like grapes while you're studying. When you eat grapes again, you'll be more inclined to remember the information when you were studying at that time. So when you do that, those are the three things you want to focus on. I will action, whatever habit you're doing, at time, whatever time you're going to do it, and that's the next part. So the time, whatever time you think works best for you. It's really kind of a personal preference, but what I would suggest doing is if you look at the habits that you already have today. So say every morning you wake up, the first thing you do is take a shower. What I would do is I'd say the time that you want to start running in the mornings. What I do is I would say put the running before your regular shower. What that does is it stacks the habits together and makes it easier to follow into a routine. Because you already take showers every day, you just fall right into the routine of wake up, go on a run now, because that's the new thing, and then go to your standard routine, which is taking a shower. The second step for building a habit that lasts is making it approachable. What I would say and what I would suggest you do is keep your habit down to 2 minutes if at all possible. If you keep it down the short amount of time it takes, it's a lot easier to start that process and to start that habit, so you'll keep it up more consistently. The shorter it is, the easier it is to do every single day, even if bad days come up where things come into place where, say, like a family event comes up and you can't do a habit for 1 hour at a time. You only have 2 minutes while you're waiting in the bathroom, or you're waiting for someone like shopping or something like that. That the shorter amount of time it takes then makes it easier to do the habit more consistently, which means you can get it up there. The other thing that I would suggest you do is when you do that, you want to make it easier and easier to start. The shorter it is, it's not like you're saying, I can procrastinate because it takes an hour to read this book. If you only spend 2 minutes reading, it's a lot easier to start reading, which is an important part. And also removing barriers to starting. As we were saying, making a shorter time makes it easier to start mentally because you're less likely to procrastinate. But also, for me, for my example, I go on runs in the morning. One thing that I have a barrier to starting that running is not having my gym clothes stuff set out. So what I do is every night before bed, this is one of my other habits, is that I'll put out my clothes, my shoes, socks, headphones, everything I need, so that in the morning all I have to do is I put it on, go on outside and go on my run. It makes it so much easier, and this is also a second habit that helps reinforce the first habit. Making sure that it's easy to start and approachable is an important part of building a habit. Step 3 for building habits that last is associating a reward with your habit. Your brain, when building a habit, really focuses in on the craving and the reward part of the habit. The reward and craving get associated with a cue and with the actual habit itself, the routine of going through that habit. And so what you want to do is you want to associate a reward with that habit so that your brain starts to get that craving, so it builds up the process, so you keep doing it and repeating it over and over again. With my example, what I did is that with running, I associated another habit that I wanted to build, which was drinking water. And what I did is I had a nice glass of cool water ready for after my run. And what would I do is that would start building up the process of now I would start craving the cold water to go on the run, which caused me to continue the process. Another thing I would suggest doing to build up a secondary reward system that's super beneficial whenever trying to build a habit and stay on track with it is starting to track your progress with your habits. And what I would do is you write down your habits on one side, and then you have the days of the month, and then your total. And what you do is you mark an X down. It's really super satisfying. I was actually surprised when I started making it how satisfying it was. I have a pocket-sized journal that I carry around with me pretty much wherever, fits in my pocket nice, easy, and it's got all my habits on there. And throughout the day, just having it in my pocket reminds me that I have those habits to do, and that when I take it out, I can look and see all the progress I have made for the past month, which is super beneficial because then I can go through and I can even determine what days are which based off what habits I was able to do, which is super important. And this is the last step for building a habit that lasts. In conclusion, the best way to build a habit that lasts in 3 easy steps is to plan out when, where, and what you're doing, then to make it approachable, make it easier to start up, make it as short as possible so it's easier for you to do day after day, and then thirdly is associate a reward with it so you're more likely to keep going and your brain will start craving that reward and keeping the cycle going. I'm Christian Alita, this is Younger, Smarter, Better, and I hope you enjoyed this episode.